Hi, hello, my name is Emma. I love talking about books, and today I want to talk about some authors I haven't read yet. So it always seems like no matter how far you get into your TBR, how many books you check off, there's always some bigger authors that kind of escape your grasp. You just somehow haven't gotten around to them yet, and this is my list of those authors. Um, I've tried to keep it to the bigger names or names that I keep seeing a lot of. So you'll have some household names on this list alongside a couple of others, maybe lesser known. I have tried to not just do a bunch of names from my TBR. Like, if we go through everyone, then we'll be here forever. So I really am trying to keep it to the major ones that are sort of like on my must read. So here we go. Number one is Joe Abercrombie. I've seen his books in bookshops for years. I've known about him for years. For whatever reason, these books have just escaped me. Okay, sorry, these leaves are getting on my nerves. Does that work? So Joe Abercrombie does a lot of grimdark, and I think grimdark is just a whole genre that I've not really gone into that much. I don't know if Game of Thrones counts. I don't know what the fan consensus on that is. But yeah, somehow I know he's massive, he's really popular, but he's just not quite made it onto my shelves yet, and into my hands. So I guess he's top of the list. Next, another huge name, Robin Hobb. Booktubers, I see you out there reading those Lightship Traders, getting annoyed by a character called Fitz. I don't really know why you're annoyed with him yet, but I want to know. I need to know. So yeah, Robin Hobb, like probably the biggest female name in fantasy, one of the greats, and yeah, somehow she's passed me by. Again, she's another one that I've seen her books in bookshops for years. For whatever reason, just haven't picked her up yet. I will get around to it eventually, but I think especially with Robin Hobb, I know she has such a huge world. I'm gonna have to wait for the right time, definitely, for Robin Hobb. Yeah, maybe after I've had another dive into Malazan. This is a hard thing with fantasy. I feel like you get to a point where you start planning like years in advance. So Robin Hobb, she probably won't be next year. I don't know. We'll see. Next is Ursula K. Le Guin. I've had the Ursi Quartet on my shelves for well over a decade at this point. I might have read the first couple of pages and then not really committed. That's on me. But I also know she's a great sci-fi writer as well. This list isn't sci-fi, but she's such a huge name, and I just need to make that step of picking that up and giving it a go. And I also feel kind of bad because she's one of those people where every time I hear about her or I read a quote by her, I just love her and respect her that bit more. So she is, as a person, someone I'm already a fan of. And weirdly, I've read one or two of her essays, but that we're not counting that. That's not for this list. So she, maybe next year, which isn't far away, maybe in a couple of months. But yeah, this is out of the top three. I think this is the one I'm probably the most ashamed of that I haven't gotten to. So Ursula K. Le Guin, I'm checking out your book soon. I promise. Next, we're going to carry on with the amazing women with Octavia E. Butler. Now, I'm not sure. I think she's more sci-fi from what I gather. But I know one of those books has vampires in it, so maybe she fits. Maybe she doesn't belong on this list of fantasy authors. I don't know. You tell me. But I just know that she's a huge name in SFF in total. So I kind of wanted to give her a mention anyway. It's very likely that the book of hers that I'd read first would be leaning towards sci-fi. But I also know that some of those books are a lot, so the timing will have to be crucial. Next is a name that this is what I was talking about, where it's his book I've seen in a lot of places and a lot of people love it, but I don't know how big he is among the fantasy community as a whole. That is Daniel T. Jackson, author of Ill-Born, and that's all I know. I believe this was actually self-published, but I just had to put it on here because I've seen Ill-Born in a lot of places, mostly on Instagram, I think. This might purely be on the list because of one very passionate fan. You know, I might be making that mistake. But there you go. I know that there's people that love it, and there's a second one coming out soon-ish, but it's a bit of a chunker, so it's gonna have to wait until I've made some progress on this fantasy shelf. But he's there. Next is Terry Pratchett, sort of. So most of the authors, well, all the authors on here are, obviously the point is these are authors I haven't read yet, but I felt the need to bring up Terry Pratchett. So I tried reading some of his way back when I was at school. We didn't read the whole book. I think we were just encouraged to read the start, and something about the writing style didn't gel with me, and this stuck in my head. So jumped years later, and I'd seen some of the Sky. I think Sky did some adaptations that were really good, and I really liked them. And I realized that these stories have a lot of things that I love and are to my taste. You know, satire, a bit of comedy, but it's still fantasy. It's not like a parody. And there's these great, interesting characters. So, I park that thought for a minute. Because I kind of, while I'm watching it, I think, oh, maybe my problem is I don't like his prose and I don't like his writing style, but I like the bits and pieces that he's made, like the plot and the characters. Jump ahead a little bit, and I have another little taste of Pratchett, and this is when I do a read with a friend of mine, and we read Good Omens. Obviously, this is a collaboration between Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. I don't think either of them ever gave away which bits they wrote, so I can't be sure, but I always felt like there were some chapters I just did not like. And I think that was the chapters with the children. I think they just annoyed me. The writing of them irritated me so much. So I'd flip-flop between having a great time, being kind of annoyed, and I just kind of assumed that, hey, I've read Neil Gaiman, I kind of like his stuff. I know I've had these experiences with Pratchett. It's probably his bits I've got an issue with. Please don't kill me. But after all of that, I have to be aware of the fact that I haven't sat down and read his work alone, for a very long time. So, my plan is over Christmas, I am going to read Hogfather. I kind of know the story, I remember enjoying the adaptation, and I feel like this will be my chance to see if child me was right all those years ago, or whether I've actually been missing out on a really great author, because I know so many people adore him. And again, even if I end up not enjoying this, I have so much respect for the guy. So we'll see. I really hope I do enjoy it, otherwise I'll have some Terry Pratchett fans coming after me after Christmas. That will be a terrible way to start the new year. Next, we have a trio of authors I've brought up time and time again because I bought their books all at the same time. And that is John Gwynne, Evan Winter, and Ken Liu. No, I'm wrong about that. I got Grace of Kings way before the other two. Basically, these are a trio that are sat on my fantasy to be read shelf. John Gwynne, Shadow of the Gods is coming. We're nearly in winter now, and I was saving it for winter, but this trilogy, I don't know if you can see it, the Lycanius trilogy, it sort of bumped everything out of the way, so I'm not touching anything huge until I've finished that, which shouldn't take me too long. I'm about midway through. But yeah, I realised with that there were so many names and plots that were starting to build up that if I didn't binge it, I was going to forget some stuff. So poor Shadow of the Gods got pushed back again. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to Shadow of the Gods. I am. It's so close, I can taste it. And then we have Evan Winter, Rage of Dragons. This nearly came in the summer, and then unfortunately another trilogy bumped. I guess this is just like how I'm approaching reading at the moment, is that if I start something and I read the first of a series and I really enjoy it, I make the effort to get more and finish it off if it's doable. I'm not going to do that if it's 18 books, but if it's a trilogy, then it makes sense for me to wrap it up soon. Might not always be the case, but that's how I'm getting through my books at the moment. So basically what it means is that I might have a shelf of 6 books, I read one, and then I buy 2 more and then read those. It's a slow process, but it's working for me right now. Ken Liu, Grace of Kings, I might shove that closer to the top of my list purely because I want to know if I'm interested in these, and if I am, it means I can buy the rest of those beautiful copies that are available. And part of my monkey brain is telling me that surely they're going to vanish and I need to hurry up and get the pretty books, and I'm stomping that down because I got other things to do first. But they are pretty books. They're very nice. And there we have it. That's the full list. Feel free to tell me off in the comments for not reading these authors, and feel free to suggest other authors. Just bear in mind, I might have read them already. I might have tried them. But you know, give it a try. Give it a whirl. Maybe I'll do like an authors that are more on the indie or underrated end. I don't know. That could be fun. But for now, these are the big names that I can't believe I've not read yet. But you know, we all have them. I'm sure we do. That's it from me. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!